All right, well, it is my pleasure to invite up to the stage our CMU Office of the President Chief of Staff, Tricia O'Reilly, to introduce our next keynote speaker.
All righty, good afternoon. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you to State Representative Valerie Gatos for sharing her insights. Can you join me in just once again giving her a round of applause? As Daniel mentioned, my name is Tricia O'Reilly. I serve as Chief of Staff for President Jahanian. President Jahanian is traveling today, so otherwise he would be here as he's a huge fan of Energy Week and the excitement and, dare I say, energy that it generates for campus. So I am proudly representing him. I do want to start by just adding my welcome and thanks to my welcome to all of you and my thanks to the Scott Institute team. Thank you for creating this opportunity for our region to come together to celebrate our legacy in pioneering energy discovery and innovation. This is now a very treasured tradition at CMU, and I know it's a lot of work, so thank you to the Scott Institute team. With their help and the energy and momentum of our faculty and staff and students, we're charting a course to help shape a sustainable, abundant future. All of us here today know that the topic in question, AI and energy innovation and how they're connected, is so central to our future. Our ability to harness new sources of energy to meet the climate challenge and to ensure that energy is affordable, this all rests on really tapping the power of AI. And that is why we are so pleased that our next speaker, Allegheny County Executive Sara Innamorato, recognizes that the ultimate test of energy innovation is its capacity to empower our people and build just and vibrant communities. The Innamorato administration champions a people-first energy policy. The All-In Allegheny Action Plan supports the development of clean energy jobs and expands access to quality job training. Its objective is to enable citizens throughout the county to seize opportunities in our region's fastest growing industries. The plan also makes a commitment that clean air and water should be available to all communities. You'll hear more about it from Sara, I'm sure. I've had the opportunity to get to know Representative Innamorato just a little bit over the past year, and I can tell you that she is the real deal. She is as authentic, determined, and ambitious as she appears when she's speaking out in the public, and she is the leader that we really need and deserve here in Allegheny County. So, Sara, I'm so glad that you're able to be with us today and to celebrate Energy Week. Now, would everyone please join me in offering a warm welcome to our County Executive, Sara Innamorato.
All right, how's it going? I get the post-lunch crowd. It's a tough spot, I'll say. But I want to thank my former colleague, Representative Valerie Gatos, for kind of giving you all a lay of the land of what's going on in Harrisburg and kind of what folks are working on in the AI space. This is an awesome room. It's a dynamic room, and I say my job as county executive is to create an Allegheny County for all. And I can't do that unless we have diverse voices at the table, and no one governs alone. It is truly a team sport. So, thank you to CMU for this convening. You have been an excellent partner, not only in the education and energy space, but in a number of community-led initiatives. I know we have folks from the governor's office, Brian Wrigley, who's been an amazing partner to our administration, and these goals around energy. We have folks like Don Evans from the Energy Innovation Center. So really some great partners, and it truly is a team sport when we're talking about something as big as energy and artificial intelligence. So thank you all for being here. And I'm actually going to step back a little bit from AI. I know that's the theme of this convening, but you all are the experts. Like, I, as an elected official, need to create spaces where we can hear directly from you on how the county can be a good partner in making sure that this new technology, as it evolves, is used as a force for good, not only in the public sector, but to enhance the quality of life of people throughout our region and our state and our nation. So I want to step back and kind of just give us a higher level conversation around sustainability and the green economy because it's so incredibly urgent and important. And when we're in a time where saying something like climate change is here and it is man-made can be viewed as a political statement, can be a challenging time to advance initiatives like a just transition, like an energy transition, like putting more renewables online and thinking about green manufacturing. So we are working very hard at the county to elevate that conversation and to make sure that it doesn't get lost in all of the new technologies that are coming out and also the different priorities that are coming from our various levels of government. I'm gonna start a little bit on a kind of a bummer note. I'm gonna be a little bit sad for a minute, but I will tell you it will end on a higher note. So just ride the emotional roller coaster with me. So as county executive, I represent 1.2 million people. We have an annual budget about $3 billion. And, I think a lot about how climate change is impacting our region and most specifically the people who live in our communities, especially in environmental justice communities, which are mostly located in the Mon Valley area. So we know that there's not only a human impact to climate change, but there is a monetary one. The Center for Climate Integrity has estimated that we will have to spend out in the city of Pittsburgh $520 million in just adaptation costs by the year 2040. So this is stuff to protect residents from extreme heat, from heavy precipitation events, and landslides and other things that are coming with more extreme weather events that are happening in southwestern Pennsylvania. So who pays for this, ultimately? The answer is all of you. It's the taxpayers who are responsible for footing the bill when it comes to having us to invest more money into making our infrastructure more resilient. These are investments that we have to make to increase storm drainage capacity, maintain roads and bridges from landslides, protect public infrastructure from flooding, and so much more. This is to rebuild retaining walls, and I'll tell you, there are a lot of retaining walls in Allegheny County, and they are expensive. So this is an eye-popping number when you're looking at a budget of $3 billion from the county annually and the needs that we see now in investing in our infrastructure and investments we will have to make down the road. And last year when I was with you all, I was talking about how it was a top priority for my administration to access the federal dollars that existed through the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act and bring that back and get it to work here in southwestern PA. And unfortunately, I really can't talk about that right now because there's a deep uncertainty that has been created in DC. And I have to say, I was there a couple weeks ago with the National Association of Counties, which is a bipartisan organization group that convenes all county elected officials across America. And that sentiment of chaos and uncertainty was shared, and people were deeply concerned about the landscape and how that seemed to be shifting hour to hour. We're talking about things are frozen, then they're unfrozen, they're allegedly flowing, and lawsuits and court orders and the like. And it's very difficult to follow, and it's far more difficult to plan, especially for a clean energy future when you don't know what revenue streams and programs will remain open to help assist with that. I wish I could stand up here and tell you how it would all shake out, but I don't have a crystal ball. I'm actually not any more special than any of you. I don't have secret information, but I know that in Allegheny County, we will be doubling down on these initiatives. We will be working with our philanthropic partners. We will be working with the private sector. We will be working with other levels of government, Democrats and Republicans, to make sure that we can continue to make the investments that we need here in our region. And we have seen some of these things shake out positively in our favor. There have been lawsuits that have been filed. The Shapiro administration is a great example, and that has unlocked some of the funds and allowed that money to flow. So, while we're, kind of in this space of uncertainty, we know that the power of organizing and using our collective voice and in businesses and institutions, going up and speaking with our federal representatives and using the power of the courts is shaking out in our favor and is releasing money that we can put towards our decarbonizing efforts and building a more resilient economy that works for all of us. So that's the bummer part. But we are working, like I said, to convene the tables necessary in order to say, how do we continue to move forward in these times of uncertainty? So we are seizing the moment for a clean, sustainable economic future that has been a priority in my administration since the very beginning. We are on a path to chart our own future here in Allegheny County. And Tricia mentioned this when she did the introduction, but when I got into office, I said, let's convene cross-sector tables to really look at the challenges that the county faces. And obviously, climate change, green jobs, and community resiliency was a big portion of that all-in initiative. So part of that work was creating an all-in action plan because we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to do a lot of planning, but we also, people expect elected officials and administrations to act. So this is an action plan, and it's something that we reference every single day in my administration across departments. We're really working on de-siloing departments and getting them to work together. So, part of what we're doing is revising the county's strategic plan, which is called a comprehensive plan. So do we have any business leaders, anyone who runs a business or runs a startup in the audience? Yeah. If you have a business, you have a strategic plan. No one's going to invest in your company if you don't have a plan of how you're going to grow and who your consumers are. The county didn't have a strategic plan, so we are going through that process. It is a Herculean lift to make sure we're engaging 130 municipalities across Allegheny County, making sure that industry sectors and business leaders are represented, and our institutions. So we are going through that, and that is going to give us a roadmap of where we want to go together in the future of Allegheny County. It's going to be centered on where we can catalyze our resources and start to move towards strategic growth, how we can plan for land use and site development, how we can encourage diverse energy and new renewables to be developed, how we can make sure we can focus in on the green economy and be an attractive place where that ecosystem can flourish here in our region. This is our plan for growth because we know that it doesn't happen organically. It takes intentional actions, not only from government officials, but from all of us coming together. And part of that is also doing the first ever climate action plan that Allegheny County has ever done because we know that we need to bake in sustainability and climate justice into all of the economic work that we do. So have a little QR code up here. If you scan it, you can sign up to receive updates on the comp plan and the climate action plan because I am telling you, we do need your voice, we need your brains, we need your lived experience to inform what the future of Allegheny County is going to look like. Our sustainability department is leading our climate action plan, and we're working with some external consultants, and this is really the way for you to stay in the loop and stay informed on what we're working on, because this is going to cover everything from building up our regional economies, to our transportation future, to housing, to how we're investing in communities and main streets. So this is really an all of the above approach. And there's some other work that we have been doing that's important to point out in this space. So we have been working with CCAC to do a green job training program and really grow that portfolio of offerings. The county itself has been investing in clean energy and clean tech businesses. We have committed more than $10 million to support businesses who are leading in clean energy and clean tech manufacturing and embracing sustainable practices, design, and processes. And some of the highlights of what we were able to do in the last year is get places like EOS which is a homegrown technology, to grow here, and invite new companies like Mainspring, which Rep. Gatos mentioned. They're going to open up a facility by the airport. That came through strategic conversations, yes, incentives, but also really working with these business leaders to say, Allegheny County is a great place to do business, and we want you to grow here, and we are going to put the teams together in order for you to be successful and build up an ecosystem that you can be a part of. We are also working every day with the state to make sure we can maximize investments in our region to ensure that it's not just a little sprinkled here and a little sprinkled there, but we're focusing on development in specific key areas. The RISE PA program is an excellent example of that. Some of our other bright spots of development are around the airport. Christina Casotis, who leads the Airport Authority, has been a tremendous partner in thinking through sustainable aviation fuel, which I know CMU is a part of that conversation, which we appreciate. Obviously, the microgrid. And right now, we are working hand in hand with PRT to help secure funding from the state in order to stabilize operations and continue to grow, because we know that mass transit that is reliable and clean is one of the cornerstones to making sure that our economy can grow. So that's just a little bit of what the county is up to. I want to leave time for some questions, but thank you for your partnership and your leadership in your different sectors. I know that we can do great things when we come together, and let's continue to, disagree, to have meaningful discussions, to work together, because I believe that every single person in this room wants Allegheny County, wants Pittsburgh to be the best it can possibly be. That is something we share regardless of where we come from and what we believe. And I think that, when we can focus on how we can move forward together, that we can do really great things in Allegheny County and beyond. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take some questions.
All right, I believe we have time for one or two quick questions.
Oh, wow.
Here we go in the back.
I was like, no one wants to talk about PRT funding? So I'm impressed.
Hi, I'm Shanna Stoffer. I ride a bus to work.
Great.
I hope I will next year. I was curious, I know the PRT has proposed cuts, and you have an action plan for transportation and infrastructure. Is there anything about taking the bus feel safer by being able to walk to a bus stop in the suburbs?
Yes. So that's a great question. So part of the comprehensive plan that the county is going through, coupled with the bus line redesign that PRT is going through, they will be complementary plans, and it's looking at everything, right? It's not only looking at the bus routes and frequency and increasing ridership and reliability, but it's also about the built environment around bus stops and where people tend to get on and off. And so, that's a critical part of it. The other thing that makes any sort of development project difficult in Pennsylvania, specifically in Allegheny County, I mentioned those 130 municipalities. The county does not have zoning or land use authority. So, that is something where we need to work hand in hand with the municipality. So if it's in the city, it's with the city. If it's in Ross Township, it's in Ross Township, but making sure that we are working hand in hand with our municipal leadership, that they see the value in investing in the surrounding built environment to create a safer experience for people who are using public transit.
Great. I think we have time for one final question.
Hi, I'm Daniel Stock. I'm at the Critical Technology Initiative at EPP. I love how early on you mentioned the resilience investments that are needed.
Yeah.
And I hear people, Pittsburgh is the city of bridges, but increasingly people are talking about all of these hillsides that we have and how much of a challenge that will be. Is this kind of a brand new area that people at the county and the municipal level are talking about, or is there kind of an established playbook on how to get, up to code like you would with bridges?
So there has over the years been a landslide task force, and there's a number of policy recommendations that came from that initiative. And I will say that right now in this moment, we are now planning for infrastructure investments that consider the impact of climate change. We have to think about the infrastructure that's been built was never done with it was done with the information that was available at the time, which was that this is how long this piece of infrastructure will last, given the current climate. So we are, working with our Department of Public Works. This is like the part of governing that's de-siloing all the different departments, because sustainability is a thread that runs through everything. It's not something that lives in its own department. And yeah, I think as in terms of landslides and things like that, we do have emergency funds for municipalities when slides occur, but it's not enough money. And it is very costly to both municipalities and the county. And oftentimes when a landslide occurs or a retaining wall falls, it's often a battle between different levels of government to say who actually owns it, and so who's responsible for footing the bill. So we don't have a lot of good tools in the public sector to finance things like that. So it's the other thing that's layered on top of what's deeply concerning about the price tag of all of the dollars that are going to have to be invested in protecting the public from the impacts of climate change.
County Executive Innamorato, thank you so much for your leadership of Allegheny County, and thank you for being at CMU Energy Week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.